Now, we don't have long because it is like 3 degrees outside. So, polyphenols, the power of purple. You may or may not have heard about polyphenols. They're something that are definitely cropping up more in conversations surrounding things like health and gut health, etc. People rave about these things. They say they're the most beneficial things you can possibly get from plant foods and that they're absolutely fantastic. So what is the fuss about? What are the health benefits? What do they do? Where are they found? Which foods have got the most polyphenols in them? And most importantly in this context, which polyphenols can you grow from home for the most health benefits? To give you a brief overview, yes, it does seem like there are plenty of health benefits from eating more polyphenols. Unlike many kind of special magical chemicals or compounds, there is actually quite a lot of quite good quality research surrounding polyphenols, okay? So that's why I'm very happy to talk about them today. There are so many kind of chemicals and compounds and foods, etc. They get put on a pedestal to be this amazing thing, but really, we don't really know enough about these things to really make any bold claims. So what I'm not going to be doing today is making bold claims. So let's dive into what polyphenols actually are, what the current literature actually says about them, how to get more polyphenols into your diet, and most importantly in this context, which plants can you grow from home that are particularly high in polyphenols? So, what actually are polyphenols? To put very simply, polyphenols are just nutrients in plants, okay? What we like to call phytonutrients. A nutrient in a plant that has a specific health benefit further than just caloric value, for example. And there's a couple of very key things that you need to understand about not just polyphenols, but these beneficial chemicals and compounds that people love to talk about. Now, one of the main functions of polyphenols is that they are antioxidants, generally speaking. And you've probably seen the word antioxidant get thrown around so much. You know, people rave about foods like blueberries, calling them a superfood, calling them brain food, etc. And really, what they're doing is they're glorifying antioxidants, and rightfully so to an extent. But I feel like the vast majority of people don't actually know what an antioxidant is and like what it actually means for you. When you eat a food high in antioxidants, what does that do? Is it even relevant to you in any way, shape or form? Would you even notice effects, for example? Antioxidants protect your body from something called free radicals, okay? And I'll keep this very brief. Think of it this way, free radicals are like unstable molecules that can cause damage to your cells. And as such, they might lead to things like chronic inflammation and also chronic disease. Included in these chronic diseases are things like cancer, of course, cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, osteoporosis, GI problems, lung damage, and also neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's, for example. The key word in this whole discussion is chronic, okay? Both in the fact that it helps reduce chronic disease, but also the fact that it's to do with chronic consumption, okay? The acute effects of polyphenols, i.e. the immediate or effects soon after consuming polyphenol-rich foods, are very small. There's only a few studies that have really researched the acute effects. They might help with cognition potentially. I'll put the study here. It is quite interesting stuff, but we need way more research to say anything for sure. So what we're looking at here is chronic intake, which means eating a lot of polyphenol-rich foods throughout the course of ideally your life. And in doing that, you help to mitigate risk of said chronic disease. And you need to understand how risk works as well. Let's say you find a specific chemical that's been found to have anti-cancer benefits. That does not mean that by eating that food, you will get direct anti-cancer effects, okay? What it means is that it might help reduce the risk of those things. You can live the perfect life, the healthiest life where you eat the best diet ever and live the perfect lifestyle, yada, 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 and still get cancer, right? What these recommendations are here for is to say that you eat more of these polyphenol or antioxidant-rich foods and your risk of some chronic illnesses might decline, okay? Risk. It's very important to kind of understand that these foods aren't totally magical. Yes, they're amazing. Yes, they're brilliant. Yes, they're very likely a very good idea to have in your diet, but you're not going to eat them and necessarily just turn into some magical flipping unicorn that's immune to all chronic illness. I think that's an important place to start. But that does not take away from the recommendation that it's a very good idea to eat more polyphenols in your diet. Polyphenols, antioxidants, help reduce chronic disease, but you need to eat a lot of them over the course of your life to see the real benefits. Now, of course, you saw the title of this video, Polyphenols, the Power of Purple. Now, the reason why I've called it that is that foods, particularly fruits and veg in this context, that are purple, dark purple, blues, dark reds, blacks, for example, tend to be very high in polyphenols, okay? Usually these colors are a very good indication of high polyphenol content in food. So as a good rule of thumb, when it comes to buying salads, for example, I would advise going for ones that have purple leaves, for example, or partly purple leaves. Even slight tinges of red and purple can be a good indication of polyphenol content. So like when you're in the supermarket, look out for those colors. At the end of the day, if you're buying normal lettuce or lettuce that has a little bit of purple in it, you are probably getting more bang for your buck, right? And actually the high polyphenol one will probably taste better as well. Generally speaking, polyphenols do have a slight bitter or tart type flavor. So it will likely taste better and it's better for you. So you may as well steer towards those darker colored purple, dark blues, reds, etc. And another incredibly important point here is that the polyphenol content of foods can vary massively. Say you took a blueberry that was grown in non-organic situations, say it was like mass produced with minimal fertility in the soil, minimal nutrients in the soil, in a bad environment that's just designed to churn out quantity over quality, right? You'd very likely see a lower polyphenol content of those blueberries because of the way it's grown. Polyphenol content can be affected by air exposure, water conditions, soil conditions, and the age and health of the plant itself. Polyphenols are a good indication of the health of a plant. A healthy plant will likely have higher polyphenols. I imagine you can see where I'm going with this. Generally speaking, the plants that we grow in organic conditions in healthy soil, such as from home or on an allotment, for example, or on a regenerative farm or permaculture or whatever, generally speaking, I think it'd be safe to say those plants are a hell of a lot healthier than the ones designed to mass produce produce for the world. And further from that, the content of polyphenols in produce rapidly drops from the time that it was picked. So the longer that that fruit, for example, has spent in transit from harvest to when it reaches your mouth, the lower the polyphenol content will be. So if you're eating blueberries that have traveled around the entire world to get to your mouth, the polyphenol content will be significantly lower than ones that you've eaten straight off the plant, for example, or bought from a local farm. Yet another reason why growing these things from home is a very good idea. I'll walk you through the type of things that I'm growing from home now that are particularly high in polyphenols. So blueberries contain one of the most researched type of polyphenols, a flavonoid known as anthocyanin, linked with a ton of health benefits like anti-cancer, anti-diabetic, anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial, like the list goes on of these mega claims made around blueberries. So it really is an amazing superfood, but they're quite hard to grow from home. You need acidic soil, it's not ideal. But have you heard of honeyberries? Now, honeyberries are arguably an even tastier berry than a blueberry, and they also contain more anthocyanins than blueberries. And they also happen to be way easier to grow because you don't require acidic soil to grow them. I bought 2 plants last year. They've just started blooming, so I'm expecting actually quite a lot of honeyberries this year, so I can't wait. Honestly, any berry tends to be very high in polyphenols, so blackberries, raspberries, strawberries are particularly good. I'm growing all of these. By the way, if you haven't tried a homegrown strawberry before, you're seriously missing out. Oof. Holy fuck. Excuse my French, that's the best strawberry I've ever had in my life. Woo. So you guessed it, these foods will likely be purple foods, right? So I'm doing purple carrots, okay? This is like a rainbow mix of carrots, but there's purple ones in here. That's Lolo Rosso lettuce, which is got those kind of red tips. That's an indication of high polyphenol content. Blue kohlrabi, or just kohlrabi, very high in polyphenols. I love this, I think it's so tasty. Something that you'll probably never really see in a supermarket. And this is an interesting one. You have a tomato that also contains anthocyanins. So basically you get the health benefits of blueberries in a tomato alongside lycopene, which is a really, really powerful antioxidant found in tomatoes as well. So that right there is an absolute powerhouse of a vegetable. Fruit. And this one as well has similar benefits to blueberries in that, of course, it is purple, it is packed full of the polyphenol anthocyanins. You then have chili peppers, which are actually really high in something called capsaicinoids, that are a polyphenol in their own right, that have all these amazing health benefits as it is, like gut health benefits, again, kind of anti-inflammatory, anti-cancer stuff. The gut health benefits are interesting when it comes to chilies, because you'd think it would have the reverse effect, knowing what happens when people eat a lot of chilies. So this one here is called Buena Malata, okay? And you can see that they have these lovely, lovely purple leaves, a great indication of polyphenol content. And you can see as well that they have these lovely purple chilies when they're ready. So you've got this amazing kind of cayenne pepper style chili that is packed full of polyphenols. You then have fruit trees, so I'm doing a nectarine, which is high in phenolic acid, a different type of polyphenol. Fig trees, which are quite good. You then have pomegranates, for example, which I'm growing as well, which are incredibly high in phenolic acid. I'll put a little list here of a load of different fruit and veg that you can easily grow from home that are particularly high in polyphenols with their polyphenol count next to them, because I'm over the top like that. So polyphenols, I think at this point you definitely get the idea. It is a very, very good idea, at least so far it seems that way through the research, to eat a lot of these polyphenol rich foods throughout your diet. Make them a common occurrence in your diet, right? And a good general guideline for this is just eating more color. When it comes to putting together a plate of food, think about diversity. Think about the colors of the food on that plate. You're looking for those purples, the dark reds, the blues, the blacks, blackberries, blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, beetroot, kohlrabi, red cabbage, red lettuce. You get the idea. So I hope you enjoyed that video. I hope it helps. I hope this might encourage you to maybe start one of these things yourself from home. Honestly, growing food from home is so much easier than you might think. I'll link a bunch of amazing channels that help people grow food from home in the comments below. They're absolutely fantastic. You have people like Hugh Richards, you have Charles Dowding, you have Spicy Moustache, you might have seen him online, Gaz Oakley, Planted in the Garden, I think is fantastic, Grow Veg. These people have been doing it for absolutely ages. They're definitely a better source of information for how to grow these foods from home yourself. But for now, let's focus on the health benefits on my end. So there you go. Don't forget to subscribe, etc., etc. I hope you enjoyed, and I will catch you next week.